Welcome to the Craft of Coaching podcast, where we dive into what it truly takes to become a skilled, confident life coach. I'm your host, Kate, head of the CLCC, or Certified Life Coach Collective, an ICF-accredited Level 1 coach training program. We combine courage, coaching, and community to offer you more than just a training program, but a life-changing experience where you use your own personal transformation as the learning ground for supporting your clients. On this podcast, we explore how you can use coaching skills to support your clients or expand your own growth, all grounded in evidence-based coaching practices. Learn more about our program and get free resources for becoming a life coach at teamclcc.com. And now, here's today's episode. Hello, everyone. It's Kate Swoboda from teamclcc.com. That's teamclcc.com. And today's episode is going to be all about how to price your coaching offerings. This is a big discussion in the industry, and it's definitely something that's always changing, and particularly because you certainly have, if you've been a coach at all, been around for a little while, have certainly seen a lot of coaches making a lot of claims about how much money they make, about charging $3,000, $5,000, $20,000 a month to have clients on retainer. And so I'd like to do an episode about how you can actually price your coaching offerings. This episode is also tied to my Coaching Blueprint digital marketing program. And that program has been around for quite some time. It actually came out in 2010. Yes, I've been a coach for longer than that, and that program has actually been out for that long. It has had multiple iterations and updates over the years. Platforms change, things change. Change management is part of running a business, let me tell you that. Going through all of those little lessons in the Coaching Blueprint and taking out where it says Twitter and putting in X. And these days, I don't even advise any coaches to be on Twitter when I do business coaching, but that's neither here nor there. The Coaching Blueprint program, as many of you know who have been around for a while, that is an evergreen program. You get the program for the life of the program. You never have to reinvest anytime I make updates. And as long as the program is in existence and available, you will have access to it. So very cool to be able to get something and see how it evolves over the years. And I just recently did a very big update on the Coaching Blueprint program. And I'm talking, I added lessons. There were other lessons that I felt like needed to be clearer. The usual things, as I was just mentioning, that have to be updated. And so the Coaching Blueprint program has just been updated, and you can learn more about that at coachingblueprintprogram.com. And in learning about that program, I would love to give you a little discount. So if you decide that you want to get the program, if you don't already have it, and you want to invest in that program for a limited time, for a limited time, you will be able to get a discount on that program with the coupon code podcast, all together, no spaces. If you are trying to use that coupon code and you're not seeing a discount come through, then it means we're outside, of the limitations of how long that discount will be offered. You know how it goes. This podcast episode could be up for the next 3 years and change and who knows, and life changes and all that good stuff. But if you're interested in the Coaching Blueprint program, where you can get worksheets and things, videos and audios and things of that nature on all aspects of your business, crafting your essential website pages, how to set your coaching rates, how to increase your coaching rates, save on website design, behind the scenes, big time, of how I market my own business. I am pulling back the curtain and showing you everything. Marketing in just 4 hours a week. When do you hire for a VA? Do you need a virtual assistant? How to leverage search engine optimization so that your clients are coming to you rather than you always having to go find your clients. I don't know. There's like 50 different lessons or something like that in the Coaching Blueprint program. I add to it all the time. And today we're going to get into the how to price your coaching offerings discussion, because this is definitely a big part of coaches going into the marketplace and then getting disappointed with themselves when they can't get $20,000 a month retainer clients and things like that. And so how do you figure out what to charge for your coaching, for your group programs, for your digital downloads, etc.? So that's what I'm going to get into right now. All right, first things first. There's an image that I have in the actual coaching blueprint program of this concept. It's a Venn diagram. And what you charge for your products is always, on one side of the Venn diagram, the amount of money that you actually need to make for the investment of your time and resources in creating or running or coaching or whatever the vehicle is for one-on-one coaching, group programs, digital downloads. So one factor that you need to consider is, how much money do I need to make for it to be worth my time? And the coaching blueprint is what I call a values-driven or values-based marketing program. I'm not doing this thing where I'm going to tell you that if you aren't charging a certain amount straight out the gate, you're playing small. You've got money mindset problems. F all that, okay? Like, people who promote that, I know specifically multiple times. I mean, like I said, the program came out in 2010. I've been a coach since 2006. I know of multiple situations where people flat out fucking lied about what they were earning and were enrolling people in some of those money mindset, don't play small, you should be charging $50 gazillion for your coaching, or else that's a signal to the universe that you don't believe in yourself. There's a New York Times article that just came out about people spending their life savings on coach training programs, which, as the director of a coach training program, I'm going, are you kidding me? Our program is like a third of the cost of a lot of these really schmarmy programs that exist out there. And so when I say that you have to come from a values-driven place in your marketing, this question of what is the amount of money that you need to make for it to be worth your time is part of that. I have a saying when I talk to people about how I set my own pricing. I don't play small, I don't play big, I play aligned. It's about alignment. So start with alignment. You also, on the other side of the Venn diagram, need to charge what the market will bear based on your expertise and your visibility. You need to charge, and it's a combination. The Venn diagram, the sweet spot in the center, is the combination of the amount of money you need to make for it to be worth your time to invest all that you're going to invest into developing something or actually facilitating or coaching or showing up for an appointment of some kind. And it's combined with what the market will bear based on your expertise and visibility. So let's go through this a little bit, okay? What you know is worth it to you to charge is going to be different for every single person. You know, like for instance, if you know that you need to make $50,000 a year to pay your bills, and you're like, I think that if I charge 2 clients $25,000 each, I'll make my $50,000. Go for it, because if you can get someone to do that, great. If that's what would make it worth it for you, you've got one half of that Venn diagram. But unfortunately, I don't think you have the other half if you think you're going to find 2 clients willing to charge you or willing to pay $25,000 each, and you're just going to sit back for the rest of the year. I think it's going to be a rough ride for you. Am I saying it can't be done? Am I saying it's never been done? No, of course not. But I don't think that it's likely, because that's not what the market will usually bear, especially for a newer coach. So I trust that you've got great coaching that you bring. I trust that, the person listening to this delivers value for their clients. But the market perception of your expertise, if you are a brand new coach, is, why would I pay $25,000 a month or whatever to have a brand new coach on retainer? It's the perception of your expertise. What the market will bear is also based on your visibility. If Dr. Brene Brown came out right now and was like, you know what, I'm going to open up some slots for $20,000, $25,000 a month coaching, who's in? Yeah, she's going to get some people. She's been on Oprah. She's freaking famous. She did like a cameo in some Netflix show. I'm forgetting which one it was, Netflix movie, with Karen Walrond, both of whom I've met, both of whom are very cool people, by the way. Karen Walrond is a lovely photographer, artist. She's done some stuff that's really awesome. And I'm trying to remember what the name of the movie was that Brene Brown did that little cameo in where they spot her at the restaurant. And it's totally escaping me right now. But nonetheless, those of you who know, if you know, you know. So if Brene Brown comes out, if Oprah comes out, if anybody who's got like that kind of status comes out and says, this is what I charge and da-da-da, like, yeah, they're going to get it. They've got a lot of visibility. What the market will bear is also based in part on economic factors. As I record this in the summer of 2024, the first 2 quarters of 2024 have seen an obscene number of layoffs. 2023 was not much better. A lot of people are getting laid off. And so I have actually spoken with some coaches who at one time were selling these $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 packages. And I've asked them like, hey, kind of tapping into the market here. That's not what I charge personally for my private clients. So I'm trying to get information like, is this a viable model? How's it doing in this economic environment? Wholesale, hands down, across the board. They're like, no, I've had to cut back my rates a bit. And I share that information with you because I don't want you to think something's wrong with you if you can't come out and within a year or two sell people on these $5,000 packages. I also want to support you around creating a sustainable business model, because a business model where everything is riding on just a couple of high ticket packages, especially when there's an economic tightness in the air, when there's a recession, when there's a lot of economic fears, that's very common around election time, and in the United States at least, we're heading into an election. France just had their election, like elections are happening. People get squirrely, people get wiggly. They don't want to pull $5,000 out of their savings accounts to spend on something that is not absolutely essential. And hey, coaching has changed my life for the better in a bajillion different ways. But if I'm choosing between spending on coaching and spending on my mortgage, spending on coaching and having money for my kid to do summer camps, it's just coaching is not my highest priority when it comes to things like making sure my kid is taken care of, making sure my family is taken care of, roof over the head, all that stuff. So you have to understand that it is, to me, not a limiting money mindset to say, hey, what the market will bear is part of this conversation. It's just basic common sense. And I want you to succeed. And you are going to be happier, I think. And I've coached a lot of people on this, and I've done it myself and all that. I think you will be happier pulling in clients at a price point of $200 to $350 a month per client and having 10 clients at that price point, and actually having the clients and they're coming to you, and then you're getting referrals, and then there's a kind of flywheel that's turning of its own volition, then you will going, oh shit, my 2 $5,000 package clients just ended their sessions. They got a lot of value out of it, but they're just complete, and I don't have anybody else. That's a lot more stressful to adjust to. So what you need to make for it to be worth your time is going to be part of this discussion. What the market will bear is also part of this discussion. I'm going to get into this a little bit more, and I'm going to go ahead and just say, when I am coaching a brand new coach, and I do some business coaching, I can only take on a few clients at a time, but if you're curious about my business coaching, you can head to teamclcc.com/business. But when I work with new coaches, as in brand new out of coaching school and or within their first year, I suggest starting your rates at about $50 to $75 per coaching hour. And I have a lesson in the coaching blueprint on how to increase your coaching rates, but that is a good starting rate, $50 to $75 per coaching hour. So that's just for one-on-one coaching. And the idea is that a coaching business builds best by first starting with one-on-one coaching and getting a lot of coaching experience under your belt, really understanding, for my business, what is the best way to onboard new clients? What is the best way to coach? I mean, you're still going to be, even if your coach training program, and I hope your coach training program did this, ours does. I'm always going to wave my hand about the fact that CLCC does these things. But hopefully your coach training program helped you to figure out something of what your style of coaching is. And you're still going to be refining your style of what type of coaching you want to do, how you want to coach with people. I always tell the story that when I first started out as a coach, I thought that I was going to be a creativity coach. And the reason that I thought I was going to be a creativity coach was because I was painting, I was doing photography, I was writing, and I always felt like I was pretty good about being accountable around my creative goals. But I noticed that there were a lot of artists who didn't feel accountable about their creative goals. They would want to make art and they would resist making art. And so I said, that would be a great place where I can coach people. And then how everything turned into courage for me was that as I started to work with creatives on being more accountable to their creativity, I became fascinated by the ways in which fear was keeping them from the art that they wanted to make. And then that became my whole, I want to look at fear, I want to look at courage, all that good stuff. So you want to keep in mind that the first couple of years of building your business, your coaching business, you are going to change how you work with people. You're probably going to at some point change who you want to work with, and you want to keep things open for that. So start there. Don't go trying to build a whole business with group programs and these more complicated structures until you have solid one-on-one coaching under your belt. All right, here's the next piece. A great goal for your first year of coaching. How much income would I like to bring in from my first year of coaching? I think a great goal for a first year of coaching is $25,000 to $50,000. And I advocate for coaches to not actually make a straight jump into coaching from whatever career they've come from. So if you are coming from a corporate career, if you have whatever career you're coming from, corporate or otherwise, whatever salary job you have, I do not advocate coaches to just go, I finished coach training, now let me jump straight into coaching full time. That is extremely stressful, and the last thing you need is more stress on top of what is already going to be stepping into a new identity for yourself. I don't say any of that to dampen anyone's excitement about becoming a coach and leaving behind a job that they hate. I'm more so wanting to go, I really want to set you up for success. I really want to set you up for the long haul. And again, I learned the hard way. I did the thing when I first became a coach back in 2006, where I finished my coach training and I was like, that's it. I believe in myself. If I just believe in myself enough, I'm going to do it. No. Within 6 months, I was tucking my tail between my legs and heading back to my salary job. I kept coaching on the side, and then I built more sustainably from there. So a good goal for your first year of coaching is around $25,000 to $50,000. And that's nothing to sneeze at, especially if you keep your salary job and your $25,000 to $50,000 is a side hustle, and especially when you consider that what are your expenses really to stand up a coaching business? That's the cool thing about this. You need a website, you need a phone. Those are kind of the most essential expenses. So it's a pretty good side hustle to set up. It's not like you're investing in a restaurant and you're buying a bunch of equipment and you've got to hire a whole staff and everything like that. And if the restaurant isn't making money after a year, oh no. This is a very, very different type of situation. So $25,000 to $50,000 I suggest as an initial goal. And if you blow that out of the water, and plenty of coaches do, good on you. You're a rock star. The next thing that I suggest is differentiated offerings. So if you start with a one-on-one model, I suggest that from there, you move into differentiating your offerings and creating different income streams that are going to bring in little bits of money here and there and are going to appeal to different price points that people are willing to pay for. And so here's an example. And I go over this example in even more detail in the lesson on this in the Coaching Blueprint program. So one way that you can start to make money online is building a social media following. So TikTok and YouTube are the top two that do this. And I hear that Instagram does some of this too, although I'm not totally sure on that. But nonetheless, TikTok and YouTube, if you get enough followers, you can make money purely on views. Literally, those platforms will pay you for the fact that you have created engaging enough content that you have followers and people are watching your content. And people will post on TikTok, on YouTube, here's how much money I made from the TikTok Creator Fund, as it's currently called. Here's how much money I made off of YouTube. And as you know, there's a lot that you can do with that. I mean, just think about it. You're probably already going to be creating some kind of content to market yourself as a coach anyway. So why not try to also monetize the fact that you're making that content? So TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, lots of different places where you can go to monetize what it is that you do, just from the fact that you're showing up on these social media platforms. Next, another option, if you want to go up a tier, would be creating books or around $15-ish workbooks, downloadable things. For me, that pricing tier would be my books. I have The Courage Habit. I have 100% Fully Alive. For coaches, I have a book called The Gift of Coaching. All of those are linked on my personal coaching website, yourcourageouslife.com, under books. So essentially, creating something where someone who wants to work with you for about $15, they can get access to some of your tools. It's not going to be customized, but it's $15, right? Every tool that I ever teach or use as a coach, it's always slightly modified for every single private client that I work with, right? Next up would be digital programs. So the Coaching Blueprint program, for instance, would be an example of that. The pricing for the Coaching Blueprint program, because it is a true program, not just like a book or a quick download, is a couple $100. So that is another option. Nice thing about creating a workbook for around $15, as I mentioned, a digital program, is that you aren't trading strict time for money. Now, of course, I'm trading time on the Coaching Blueprint program when I am making sure that people have what they need if they have a technical issue, when I'm doing all these updates that I mentioned to make sure that the program is still current and valuable in the current marketplace, things like that. So yeah, there's time that's invested in that. But once you have your program, your online course set up, all you have to do is promote it, and that's it. And the money comes in. So that's another way that you can differentiate your offerings. Then we can go up from there. You get your one-on-one life coaching, which is the most unique and customizable for an individual. Then you can go up from there in terms of money, and you can do longer-term group coaching programs. So a program that maybe lasts a month, a program that, like CLCC, is a full-fledged end-to-end training program, where you start and you get the coaching skills and you're all the way to certification. So that's another way that you can differentiate what it is that you offer. When you are first starting out with running a group program, my recommendation for pricing that program, I actually have two recommendations. One is timing and one is pricing. The timing recommendation is to only run a group program that runs for about 4 weeks, your first several times you run a group program. You're going to be learning about pacing of your curriculum. You're going to be learning about people management. You're going to be learning facilitation skills. And trust me, facilitation skills, even if you have a background in classroom teaching, they're different when you're working with adults. They're different when you're working virtually. They're different when you're in a retreat. You need that experience. So I recommend timing of only about a month. And I actually recommend that the charge per person is only about $150 to $250 for your first few times you run a group program. Later on, absolutely, you can design group programs that are longer, that are $1,000, $3,000. I would recommend installment plans if you have any kind of a more expensive group program, because a lot of people, again, same thing. The economy is what it is. You're going to appeal to more people. Working with more people within different financial brackets it builds your business. It's also just, to me, like a great kindness, because when I first started receiving coaching, I was very fortunate to receive very affordable coaching. And if somebody in a group program or something like that had been like, that'll be $3,000 today, please, I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done it way back when. So those are some recommendations that I make about group coaching programs. Another way to differentiate your offerings is to do speaking gigs or to do consulting. So I differentiate between speaking and consulting in this way. A speaking gig is a one-off. You're coming for an event, you're coming for an all hands or a conference or something like that, and you are speaking on a specific topic. You're not facilitating necessarily. You're coming in, you're presenting, you're doing a Q&A, maybe a meet and greet. Speaking gigs when you're first getting started are, because you got to get a name for yourself, they say, well, what do you charge? And you say something along the lines of, it really depends on the event and things of that nature. And of course, I also want to factor your budget into the conversation. So what kind of budget did you have for speakers at this event? So basically you try to use the classic negotiation technique of not revealing a number if you're worried that it could be too high, and asking what their budget is. A lot of times speaking gigs, it really ranges from anywhere from $200 to $2,000 at the beginning. Again, visibility changes everything. You think Brene Brown's getting $2,000 for her speaking gigs? No, she's not. She's getting a lot more than that. But visibility, what the market will bear, all of that comes into effect. When you do those initial speaking gigs for just a couple $100, maybe $1,000 or a couple thousand, if you're lucky, the major benefit to you is your name on a marquee. Get somebody in that room to record you, even if they're doing it on their iPhone. Get multiple people to do it so you have different angles, and you throw that shit into a speaker reel. And that's how you book more gigs. And that's how you start to get pickier. I'm not going to fly a red eye. Yes, I have to have my hotel, compensated. I can't just fly out and not have payment for, staying in your city to come do this speaking gig. So at first, it's the same thing. You're starting lower and then you're aiming higher, okay? To consult within businesses, that is so variable. It is priced based on the scope of the program, the number of participants. I have done corporate consulting where I've gone into corporate and consulted with a select group of people. And then that ended up being one price that I quoted. But then once they saw me working with that select group of people, they went, oh, can we actually have you work with these other teams as well? And I'm like, yes, absolutely, right? So just because you start with one price point and a small group of people doesn't mean it won't become bigger. And additionally, with consulting, it is so variable based on the business. So I've done small business consulting where someone had a team of 5 people and they wanted me to come in and do some leadership coaching purely based on that. There's a lot of ways that you can do corporate consulting. And there are even things that are emerging that are things like fractional CEOs, fractional chief of staff, and that is coming as well for leadership development. So leadership development is probably where, as a coach, you're going to hang out, leadership and organizational development. And if you can look around and find some kind of a fractional gig where you're not actually an employee per se, but you're paid on retainer of sorts and you come in for a certain amount of contracted work, amazing, chef's kiss. So if you want to make 6 figures from your coaching business, I think that the best way to do it is to differentiate your offerings and to have those differentiated offerings at different price points. And I would caution you, particularly when thinking about price points, against any kind of really high bar at the beginning for the amount of money that you're going to charge, because the reality is that money for people, for organizations, it's friction. It's friction, and you don't want to create friction. When you are just starting out as a new or emerging coach, you're wanting to make it easy for clients, whether corporate or one-on-one or anything else, you want to make it easy for them to say yes. You want to make it easy for them to say yes. The money will come. You will build your way there. Don't get hung up on an ego trip that just because you came from a wealth of experience at an organization and now you're moving into coaching, and I don't know, like maybe you were a corporate organizational consultant and you're moving solely into private coaching, and it feels like, well, I made so much money as a corporate organizational consultant that I can't be okay with charging less than this for my It's like, yeah, but you're starting new. You are that person who is essentially moving into an entry-level type of job. And absolutely, there are ways to hack it, to get ahead faster, to leverage the experience that you have from a prior role into your coaching. And yet, at the same time, you are always going to be looking at these factors of what the market will bear based on your perceived expertise, based on the perception of your expertise relative to how long you've been doing it. I also last want to speak to overwhelm, okay? When you're just starting out as a new or emerging coach, I know that this feels overwhelming. I have been coaching since 2006, so of course I have multiple books and multiple e-programs and experience speaking and doing group, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've developed all this. I've been doing it a really long time. Differentiate your offerings, move slowly, start with a low barrier to entry for you and for your clients, and then move up as demand increases. And if you keep investing your time into developing your business, the demand will increase. You invested into your craft, you invested into your visibility, you invested into your marketing skills. The demand will increase along with your business, okay? In the full Coaching Blueprint program, there's a little bit more to this particular lesson, which I have in Module 3, and it's titled It's in Module 2, The Guide to Pricing Your Coaching Offerings. That's the lesson. And that lesson comes with a little bit more than I'm getting into in today's podcast episode. It comes with some journaling questions for you to consider. But before you go today, I would say recap for yourself what you've heard today. So recap for yourself. Okay, let me pause. What's the amount of money I need to make for the investment of my time to be worth it? And what will the market bear based on my expertise and visibility? Can I start out with an initial annual goal of trying to make $25,000 to $50,000-ish for my first year in coaching? Am I okay with, can I work with charging $50 to $75 a session when I'm just first starting out, and then use some of the tools for increasing my coaching rates as demand increases? And then you can start thinking about, how do I differentiate my offerings beyond one-on-one so that I can find ways to monetize anything from my social media to speaking gigs to online courses to consulting to workbooks or downloads or actual written books? How can I differentiate my offerings? And if you grab a sheet of paper and you map all that out and you're like, here's what I'm going to do for each of these things, let me tell you, you will be well on your way. So again, you want to learn more about the Coaching Blueprint digital program, you want to get that discount. Again, the discount will expire. So if it's not working, it means, and you're listening to this at some later point, it means the discount expires. But podcast is your coupon code. Head to coachingblueprintprogram.com to get started today. All right, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Before you go, would you help us out and take a moment to give us a rating in iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening? It really helps us get the word out to other listeners. And before you go today, would you like free resources to support your coaching journey? Whether you're considering becoming a coach or you want advanced coach skills training, Access our coaching resource library at teamclcc.com. Again, that's teamclcc.com. Can't wait to connect with you, and again, thanks for listening.